Nearly 40 years ago today, George H.W. Bush failed to keep his promise for no new taxes, which was one of the early contributors to the formation of the modern Constitution Party. Since then, so-called conservative Republicans in office have continued to increase taxes and spending. And even with new faces taking over and a Republican supermajority in full swing, capital R Republicans have continued to sabotage any attempt at reducing spending or balancing the budget. The national debt of the United States is currently closing in at $37 trillion. In the year 2000, it was less than $6 trillion. It's hard to even understand how this can happen in such a short amount of time, and simply put, it's what I would call bipartisan theft. Firstly, we know that Republicans and Democrats both want to spend money, and sometimes those are on different things. When Congress is divided, they just simply agree to go over budget so everyone gets what they want. You would think with one party in charge, this would be an opportunity to cut spending, but because each party has gotten used to this legalized plunder, whenever they cut out another party's waste, they spend what they could have saved on their own frivolous projects. In the 2010s, it became the norm to spend $1 trillion over budget. Despite all this going on, there still have been a few principled individuals in Congress who have stood up against this insane amount of spending. Most notably in the House, Thomas Massie. In March of 2020, Congress sought to pass an additional $2.2 trillion in spending in response to the coronavirus. Thomas Massie was the only one to oppose this bill.
The plan in Nancy Pelosi's chamber was to pass it by unanimous consent with virtually nobody there. Now, this is the biggest wealth transfer in the history of humankind, not in the history of our country,
causing the duopoly to come after him hard. Even if you were for the spending, you have to find it really weird that only one out of the 435 members of the House wanted a recorded vote. Predictably, that year, the United States was over $3 trillion over the budget. Following that spending, reports came out that the Fed was printing more money than what was previously in circulation. Essentially, we doubled the amount of dollars. This inflation is undoubtedly the cause of all the price increases we've seen throughout the 2020s, yet most media outlets and politicians would like us not to believe that. As for Thomas Massie, he won re-election in a landslide. Rand Paul has also been trying to balance the budget for years, and luckily some Republicans in recent years have awoken to the crisis. Last week, his amendment to cut spending by at least $1.5 trillion won over 24 votes in the Senate. Sadly, it was killed by a majority of Republicans and every Democrat, and that is why it's time for Americans to look beyond these party lines, because the only way we can return to financial stability is for more principled individuals to be in office. As mentioned prior, the Constitution Party has a history of standing for fiscal responsibility and also makes principles over politics a main focus of the party. So if you're a conservative who's considering running for office in 2026 and agree we should cut spending and taxes and replace them with nothing, check out the Constitution Party's platform at constitutionparty.com and see if we're the right fit for you. We'd all like to see more lovers of liberty in Congress by 2027, and that can only be done with your help. If you like this video, please give it a like and a share, and subscribe for future content. I'll see you guys in those.